So this is, of course, brought to you by India Ahead. It's a Kaleidoscope. It's a digital show that I host on India Ahead a couple of times in the week, depending on what topic pops up. And interestingly, we had a really, really interesting topic pop up recently, which was Prashant Kishore's Loud Whispers on Clubhouse. I think, I'm not quite certain if Mr. Kishore knew that Clubhouse is a public platform, and a lot of people can listen in, because when he was informed of that, there was sort of a note of surprise in his voice. But not going into that or analyzing his reactions in that way, I think some of the things that he said were extremely candid, and credit to him for that. He looked like he had, he was speaking his mind, or he sounded like it at least, and was, staring reality in the face, despite, what many in his audience would not have probably liked to hear. So I thought that was really positive from that interaction. And of course, we have been tracking this election very closely, as has everyone else. Is there, Abhijit, Majumdar, you've just come back from West Bengal. What have been your initial responses before we dive into this particular conversation? Observation.
I think my initial responses, my initial observations, I traveled a fair bit, at least three sides. One is I went to the place which is where the...
One second. It's too much echo. Advaita, you'll have to mute yourself. Okay. And Abhijit, you'll have to unmute yourself on Clubhouse. So every speaker, mute yourself.
I have to unmute myself on Clubhouse.
Now speak. Advaita, you have to mute. There's too much echo.
Mira, unmute here, I think.
I've muted you. Don't worry. I look after Clubhouse. You look after YouTube.
Okay, great. Mine is okay. Abhijit?
हाँ, Abhijit, तुम बात करो.
Perfect.
Okay. No, so I traveled a fair bit. I went to Nandigram, where the main fight is. I went to places around Nandigram in East Midnapur. Then I went to Birbhum, Bardhaman, afterwards, all the way to almost Sundarbans, Canning, Bhangar.
We can't hear you on Clubhouse, Abhijit.
What is happening then?
Why is that happening? Taking up too much time doing it on Clubhouse and YouTube. Let's just disconnect Clubhouse, because it's...
We'll disconnect. Yeah, I think we'll disconnect Clubhouse and then come back on later. I think that's fair, right? Okay. We have about 50 odd people there, so
yeah.
I don't know. They won't be very pleased, but unfortunately...
No, or should we go to...
Look, people on Clubhouse can also access it on YouTube, so that's fine.
Okay, great. Let's do that.
Just tell them to click, tell them it's your pinned tweet, and they'll click on, they should just join on YouTube.
Okay. Do you want to just announce that? Because I'm not able... Okay, wait, I got it. So sorry, we're not able to do Clubhouse simultaneously. We need to obviously figure the tech out. But if you'd like to listen in, and we have an open chat option on YouTube, you can go to my Twitter, and it's the top tweet, which has the link on YouTube, and we're going to be on there. So thank you so much, and we apologize once again. Thank you. Okay, we're done. All right. Abhijit, please carry on. Yes.
So, from visiting there and staying there for about, more than 2 weeks, nearly 3 weeks, what I found was what Prashant was saying yesterday. Prashant Kishore was saying on Clubhouse, what struck me entirely as true, which makes it all the more surprising, that Prashant Kishore is actually very candidly telling the truth, that Modi is extremely popular. But not just that, there is a fair bit of more than BJP. If BJP wins in Bengal, it will be Mamata Banerjee's loss more than BJP's win this time, because BJP administratively is still an unknown quantity. Mamata Banerjee has accrued immense amount of anti-incumbency from all her actions right up to now. Even now, we see how irresponsibly she has been asking women to come out and, confront the central forces who are out there to, ensure free and fair elections. I mean, she's so desperate and she can stoop so low that she's asking people to, asking women to come out, confront the central forces, be violent, be on the, I mean, this is classic. This is from the Maoist playbook. So that's been my experience at Beta. I think BJP is on a very strong wicket.
What is introduced this truth-telling in Prashant Kishore's narrative? I mean, what would induce him to go on a public platform like Clubhouse and just kind of go all out? And
that we don't know, because I think Prashant may have had a fallout with Mamata Banerjee. Otherwise, I mean, don't we know that all that we are doing is open to being recorded and it's an open forum? Prashant Kishore is not a kid.
But that was the thing, right? It seemed like he wasn't aware. That was what.
No, I refuse to believe that. It cannot be. It cannot be. There could be a, my hunch is that he may have had a fallout with the CM, who, it's very difficult to advise Mamata Banerjee for all his, I mean, that's a strength, that's also a weakness, that she is her own person. She is a very, very instinctive mass leader. She goes by her instincts, and beyond the point of time, she's unlikely to listen to what Prashant Kishore has to say or anybody else has to say. And that may have upset Prashant Kishore, because he also thinks of him.
The opinion that this was certainly something that he intended to have out in the public domain. Because
I think so.
I saw him doing this interview, which seemed like a bit of a, kind of cover up for the outrage or the conversation that has ensued post his Clubhouse chatter with Rajdeep Sardesai on India Today, wherein, and he also tweeted saying, I reiterate, Mamata is going to go into triple digits. So he is trying to do some sort of damage control as well. Alok, you were in this meeting, right? And you were one of the...
I was there. I was the
chair.
Actually, you know what? I still feel that he wasn't aware of the way, I mean, the technicalities of Clubhouse, because in the end you can hear him, asking as to how to leave. So he was like more like a Abhimanyu, jisko you could enter in, but they didn't know ki bahar kaise aana hai. So he can be, one can. When I have that video and मैंने कहीं दूसरे phone से record किया था, because Clubhouse doesn't allow you recording. Yeah. So I had another phone, so I recorded it, and he can be seen asking how to get out. So
oh dear.
I'm sure. So that means he wasn't aware of the fact that whether this is this is a public platform or not.
No, he's definitely new to Clubhouse because he has that party hat on his profile.
So, but after that, I mean, once. I think there's a video wherein there's one video wherein somebody told him that this is a public platform. So then he just for a moment he stopped, and then he started again, and then later on he did some damage control saying I still stand by my claim that Mamata is winning and all that. Before that he was saying 60% usko ja raha hai, 40% usko, 25% usko ja raha hai, all that,
The Matua community is going to vote.
And then I don't know if whether it was that, what's that 2 BHK girl? I forgot her name. Kya naam uska?
Let's not make personal attacks.
No, I really don't remember her name. But usne bola ki she said that means ki if all this is going to BJP, then who is voting TMC? This is what she said. Or whether it was Swati Chaturvedi. Either of two, they did ask this question: if everyone is voting for
Abhijit, Iyer, it was a discussion with the journalists. Am I correct? That's what it ostensibly was. It was sort of an open house with journalists who were questioning him on Bengal, and increasingly as the conversation progressed, questioning him on why Modi was still popular.
Right. Advaita, you might like to tweet out the YouTube link, because I'm getting lots of messages saying the scanning of the video isn't working. So we actually need a YouTube link to tweet
I've
out.
tweeted the YouTube link. I'll do it again, but go ahead and answer.
So see, there's several things just to answer everybody's thing out here. Number one, he's definitely irritated a lot of people in the DMK, his other clients, because when asked what was going to happen in Tamil Nadu, he said, don't ask me about Tamil Nadu, I don't know. Okay, so that was one of the things where he's clearly not paying any attention. He's outsourced it to somebody else in Tamil Nadu or whatever. But in this case, let's see what's actually happened. I refuse to believe that this man could be so indiscreet because he is a private consultant to her. He shouldn't have even been talking to anybody on that group privately who is not part. You see, it's a violation of the confidentiality agreement that a consultant has with a client. Right? You can't say these things out loud.
Correct.
If I had had a conversation like this about my employer outside, I would have been sacked from my job immediately. Right? So there is some kind of calculation behind it, especially given that he could see that there were many people he did not know on the Clubhouse room. Right? So platform clumsiness is one thing. I think we need to separate platform clumsiness with the complete calculated way in which he is talking to a whole bunch of people who he should not be talking to about all of this. Okay, essentially betraying client confidentiality. The third thing, mind you, is he says Mamta will cross triple digits. Now, triple digits can be 101. Triple digits can be 120. That still doesn't give you a majority in a 294 member house. You have to get 147. I think that's the halfway mark.
Yes, 147. Yes.
147 would be the halfway mark in Bengal. He has to, get that. So it doesn't really show anything. But sorry, Advaita, I lost my train of thought. What was the exact question you asked me?
I think you're on the right path. Can you hear me? It's basically, Abhijit, I think what you're saying is very important, that someone who is bound by privacy contracts and in a position of such confidentiality, would he be exposing these things publicly? I think, that's a good question.
Right. So I'm not willing to accept that this was that his clumsiness at the platform, at the Clubhouse platform, is a substitute for his indiscretion as a poll professional. Right? Now, there are several things that we can make out from this. Why would he say all these things? I suspect it's to create, because his reputation as it is isn't a stellar one. He's been he's lost more elections than he's won. And you can actually make a case that the people he has advised haven't won because of him, they've won in spite of him.
No, but then, Abhijit, the question is, like, now he is an advisor to the Chief Minister of Punjab. So he's pretty much moving on. It almost feels like he's done with Bengal now. And he's moving on, and he keeps getting hired.
He keeps getting higher. That's fine. So that's a typical social butterfly. That is neither a policy advisor nor is it a poll consultant. I don't know what he is. Right? Because in this particular case, if you credit him with Modi's victory in 2014, then how is it that Modi did better without him in 2019? So you could actually say that, Prashant Kishore actually reduced the scale of Modi's victory in 2014. Right? So this is like a standard thing that you see. For a poll consultant, which is based on statistics, you apply the statistics to him. A man who has lost more elections than he has won for his client is clearly not in a very valuable commodity. So this is very much a marketing tool. And I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to absolve himself that when Didi loses, if she loses, I have my doubts that she's going to lose, by the way. But anyway, if she loses, he can say, see, I predicted it. I couched it in effective language. I had certain obligations, but I knew,
So he's
it was
playing
kind of,
safe, you think? He's playing safe.
he's playing safe.
He's playing safe. Shefali's joined us. I think she's vanquished the enemy as usual. And she looks relieved and happy to be with us again. So Shefali, we have so far just kind of catching up on what went down at Clubhouse and Prashant Kishore's loud whispers. And, I know you're not on Clubhouse. So you've picked up on this through social media and of course, mainstream.
That's right.
Also picked it up. So we're just trying to figure out whether Prashant Kishore actually meant to be indiscreet or was he being indiscreet or by design. And, subsequently he has tried to do these cover-up tweets and interviews. So what do you think? What's your take on this?
I heard a little bit of what Abhijit Iyer or just Iyer said just now. And I think I agree with him because if you hear what I said, he is the only one in this entire gang of fused bulbs who has made some sense, The questions were completely, I cannot even imagine the kind of questions that have been asked. But his answers have been, if you look at it dispassionately and if you look at him as an analyst or a journalist, you would say that what he has said makes a lot of sense. So I cannot believe that he was that dumb enough to realize that it was not an open thing and nobody could hear it or things would not get out. No. So as Abhijit says, I think I tend to agree with him. My first reaction was, oh my God, can this guy be this stupid? But as I heard all the conversations, I think I tend to agree with Abhijit that he's trying to cover his tracks basically. And he says, I think there was a question which has not been recorded, but there's some people who have been live tweeting this entire conversation. And if you read those series of tweets, somebody apparently asked him a question that where will you be on 2nd May? It was the same person, incidentally, who asked a famous toilet question, and which he didn't reply. And then he said, do you really think I care about that? So that should tell you what is where Prashant Kishore stands. So yeah, I tend to agree with Abhijit Iyer that it's not as if he didn't know that this wouldn't get out or whatever. And he's the only one in the entire conversation who makes some sense.
Yeah, I mean, he was very candid, I thought, and kind of spoke of things that we are all aware of. For example, I think what he was saying about the exploitation of so-called secular politics or minority.
That's right. Yes.
I think that was something that we will all accept that is one of the main reasons why these parties are failing. I don't know. I mean, in such a dramatic way that there can't be any other explanation for it. I mean, of course, the questions. There was that question about Mamata Banerjee's toilet breaks, and
And there was this genius question about why is there no anti-incumbency against Modi in Bengal? It's a state election. There's a government that's been in power for 10 years. And somebody is asking, why is there no anti-incumbency? I was like, seriously? This is what is getting Magsaysay awards these days?
But Prashant Kishore, even to the toilet break question, I think he said, am I expected to answer this?
Answer that.
Am I supposed to answer this as well?
Yeah, he was the only one who actually sounded sensible in this whole conversation. The questions were one after another, and I was just, are these guys journalists? Seriously, who made these guys journalists?
So that raises an important question, which is about the brazenness with which these. I mean, see, here Abhijit is there, Abhijit Iyer is there. People know about their allegiance. Their allegiance is towards a cause. Everyone is aware of them. They don't claim that they are non-partisan. Their allegiance is clear. But in those cases, everybody claims that we are very neutral journalists and all. And look at the brazenness, the kind of conversations which they were having. All the questions were loaded ones. Imagine these people are the opinion makers. That is actually a telling comment on the quality of our opinion makers. They are the ones who day in, day out talk about problems in our society, how Modi's arrival is vitiating the atmosphere.
Alok, I don't necessarily agree with your claim that they are opinion makers, because I go back to this.
No, that's no. I'm not saying that they are opinion makers. They claim to be opinion makers.
Because I was also, before we started, I was listening to Sanjay Balu and Karan Thapar's conversation as well, interview as well, which I think you all must listen to.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
So
I'm
just a
from.
quick point out there. Regarding the questions, this tells you why the opposition seems to be losing almost every election so badly,
Exactly.
or not able to capitalize even on anti-incumbency waves against the BJP, is that if this is the kind of introspection you are going to have, if this is the kind of infantile questions that you're going to be asking, then how exactly are you going to be a feedback loop to politicians? If this was the kind of, dumbass crap that these people wanted to know, and we all know that the people on this clubhouse are associated with one or more politicians, are in their sort of echo chambers giving them feedback, what kind of a low level discourse feedback was going back? What kind of a low perspicacity feedback was going back? This, for me, it would have been much more interesting to ask serious questions. So, for example, when he says there is anti-incumbency, I noticed two very different things, which I'll come to later. But my question to Prashant Kishore would have been, boss, how are you defining anti-incumbency? What are you measuring it with? All right. And how do you know that that's going to translate into a vote for or against? Because what I realized was that, so if you look at Bengal, the electoral map of Bengal, think of it as a Mercedes-Benz car, 3-part spoke. Here's the east close to Bangladesh, which 100 seats, which is probably going to go to the TMC, except maybe Kuch Bihar. Here's 100 seats in the west, which is
disagree.
You disagree, but anyway, I'll tell you why I'm coming to that. In the west, close to Bihar, which is going to the BJP, the deciding factor is going to be what's down here, Kolkata, which has about 90 seats, Greater Kolkata, if you look at it, because Kolkata is a very big, long continuum, right? Now, what I found was there was a lot of anger in the rural areas once you got out against the TMC. But in Kolkata, what I realized was, like, there were these kids. I was watching this TMC rally go by, and there were these kids that started going saying, Jai Sri Ram, and things like that. And obviously, the TMC guys chased these little buggers off. And because I was staying out there, I then go ask these people, ki bhai, after about 40, 50 minutes when they came back, so you're clearly upset with the TMC. Why are you upset with the TMC, and why are you going to vote for the BJP, or why are your parents going to vote for the BJP? Like, no, we're not upset with the TMC. हम तो बस ऐसे ही पंगा ले रहे थे. Okay, and our parents, they might vote for the TMC. We don't really know or care. कोई decision नहीं लिया गया. So I noticed this in Kolkata because, Kolkata, remember, the way the city functions, you kind of live off a lot of government schemes and things like that. It's called living with dignity, where you're dirt poor, but you can live with dignity, which is that you continue to remain poor, so all the prices remain low, and therefore you lead a life of dignity in consolidated poverty. But I don't know what the markers of this anti-incumbency are. I am not a poll analyst, so I can't tell. I use, concoct markers as we go along and then measure it against that. And I'm not seeing that, at least in Kolkata. For me, Kolkata will be the battleground. That will decide.
Majumdar, you were disagreeing with Iyer.
No, just before that, I was actually agreeing with him as well. I agree with him on the fact that if that is the ecosystem which is so clueless about what they're up against, if they introspect so little, it is astounding. In this room, people may say that people here are, in this room are extremely optimistic about Modi, BJP, whatever. I'm probably the one full-time journalist Abhijit is a policy specialist, strategist. Shefali is not a journalist, nor is Alok. But even in this room, each one has criticized the BJP or Sangh,
Exactly.
whatever,
Correct.
more than they have done in their. We have criticized more than you guys have criticized, more than they have done in their entire lives. You guys must have criticized in over 2-3 years, and I've seen Shefali go out absolutely ruthlessly against the ruling disposition when they've done things really wrong. So the point is that this is not about party. You have to use your basic brains, right? Have you seen any of them criticize Mamata or Uddhav? Despite what I mean, the worst politics has been happening in Bengal and Maharashtra. Bengal, of course.
I think it's just appalling.
Yeah,
Political violence. And
it is. Yeah, nobody brings that up. Nobody brings up the violence. Nobody has questioned Mamata's poll slogan, "Khela hobe." What is it? It's a dog whistle to violence. She thinks that by saying "Khala hobe," she is going to threaten, bully, intimidate people into not voting for BJP. That is not happening. See why it is more, and where I disagree with Abhijit a bit is, in Kolkata you will not get people speak upfront to you about their what they're thinking, because the presence, the signage, the presence of Mamata Banerjee in Kolkata is a lot higher in terms of density. It is lot higher than in the TMC is not a cadre bound party. TMC still, even in the 10 years, has not been able to set up an organization that the CPM had, even a fraction of it. Okay, so once you get out of Calcutta, the weakness of the core organization of TMC becomes more and more apparent, and the anger, rural Bengal was also petrified. They were silent for so long. But there you go and you see that people have started speaking out, and they are not, many of them are not extremely articulate people. For them, the articulation of that anger and that dissent and that resistance is Jai Shri Ram. So the simple thing that they are doing, when you ask them कौन हवा किस तरफ है, कौन जीतेगा, they just say Jai Shri Ram. आप चिंता मत करो और कुछ बोलने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, इस बार जीत चुके हैं. That is the kind of confident. And you see crowds. There are several kinds of crowds. There are crowds which come because you're serving, they will get egg curry and rice. They're so poor that they will get samosa or dimet jhol bhat or egg curry rice at the end of the day. But there are crowds which come spontaneously. When crowds begin to articulate as individuals, start calling you and telling their opinion, start you can sense that electric quality about them. You can sense that is actually happening in West Bengal. I don't know whether BJP will win, lose, I don't know, but it will certainly do very, very well. It will certainly do better than in the 2019 elections. That I think that is certainly going to happen. Kolkata. And also, please, one little point: the CPIM vote, the left vote, is getting transferred to the BJP. Yes. There is a reason why. CPIM had never platformed a person like Abbas, for all its faults. People like Abbas were there in the back, deep background. They never shared platform or got into an alliance with somebody like Abbas. Why did it do it? It knew that the Hindu vote that is still with the left, because of Abbas, is going to go away from it.
Right.
And it will go to the BJP. But at least a small band of Muslim votes will come to the left from the TMC. Left knows that this is not its election. It will be wiped out. This is not its election. So why and they are pretty, they see left rising in the horizon or having a chance in the next 4-5 year window. If TMC loses, TMC doesn't have the cadre discipline or ideological glue to keep itself intact, keep itself together. So CPIM knows that only if TMC, so the right now the slogan there is 21 राम 26 बाम. So 21 में राम 26 में बाम. So that is how they're looking at it, and that's how the much
understanding of Bengali.
I agree strong.
Okay, go on.
Okay, I agree strongly with Abhijit on a lot of points that he made, but I also disagree on one thing. He says that the CPM cadre or the communist cadre has the glue, but that is not really true. If you see in rural Bengal, and I went a couple of years ago, okay, the mood was not that strongly against TMC at that point of time when I've traveled in rural Bengal. I found that in villages, the CPM cadre, which used to earlier work for the communists, had basically, just because they were seeing that they cannot get their work done unless they suck up to TMC. So they're just shifted stock and barrel to TMC in villages. So it's not like even the communists have this ideological glue and they had held their karyakartas together for 2 terms. That doesn't happen. They had first abandoned a lot of them for TMC, and now whatever remaining Hindu voters of CPM and CPI are there, they are shifting lock, stock and barrel to the BJP. And even as Abhijit says, even the communist parties know that. But if they really think that in another 5 years or 10 years, they will have a rejuvenation and they will have a rebirth, I don't know. I would think this is a height of optimism. But then you never know. But I want to bring this back to,
one question for you. Abhijit just
go ahead.
Is like, a dog whistle to violence.
यार प्लीज अय्यर या मजुमदार बोलो, ये अभिजीत बोलना.
Majumdar just said Khela Hobe is like a dog whistle to violence, and in a state that has seen a lot of political violence, you would think that the chief minister using that sloganeering would set alarm bells going. But instead, what we've seen is that Didi or Didi, which I've always thought Didi is a respectful term, being used as some sort of, with their parliamentarians and spokespersons making such a hue and cry about it when people are being killed and being provoked to violence.
People are laughing.
Is there a question to me?
Yes, Shefali.
Oh, I have no idea why this Didi or Didi became such a big issue. I mean, what do you expect people to, when the same people who are basically saying that Modi is insulting Mamta by calling her Didi are the same people who have gone on record and have supported Mamta Banerjee when she had used that Pechone Bash. I still remember that tweet. There is somebody who calls herself a journalist and who had said that, oh my God, this is like, real authentic Bengali, way of speaking. And it is Didi's her own style. She has called somebody Hodol Kut, which is again a very, very insulting term. But even that has been, treated as like she's being so witty, she's being so tongue in cheek. And Modi ji calling her Didi has suddenly now become a big insult. I don't understand this. Advaita, I want to bring this back to one point, which in that discussion, somebody asked, I couldn't get who asked because of that weird accent, but somebody asked Prashant Kishore, who is voting for TMC? They said Matwas are not voting for TMC, Hindus are not voting for TMC, the Hindi speaking people are not voting for TMC, the SC people are not voting for TMC. So that person asked Prashant Kishore, so who is voting for TMC? And he actually didn't answer that question. He finally sidestepped it, and he said something about 55% of the Hindus are voting for BJP or something like that. But that is something that I would like to know from both of you, since you have spent some time in Bengal. So who is voting for the TMC in this election? Abhijit and Abhijit.
Iyer or Majumdar, whoever wants.
Both.
So, see, I don't know who's voting for the TMC because I couldn't identify. I met a lot of TMC voters who told me they're going to vote, but there was nothing connecting them. Or they were just voting because they hadn't personally, I guess, been at the receiving end of any of their thuggery. Right. But that then brings me to the second part of what Majumdar said, my namesake Majumdar said, which is that, the cadre, and that's so true, because, we confuse thuggery with cadre. The CPM had a very strong cadre who were also A-grade thugs, whereas TMC engages in disorganized thuggery. At the same time, we shouldn't undervalue disorganized thuggery, because the problem with organized thuggery is you can point a finger and say this fellow is CPI, CPIM. The problem with disorganized thuggery is they can always dissociate and say, well, it was just violence. It was just people going around doing stuff. We all know why it's being done. They just can't be pinpointed. Of course, the other thing is they can't be controlled as effectively. But for me, the most important thing was that when the Lok Sabha election results came out, if you remember, there was a huge exodus of these hourly rental thugs to the BJP. And, like I remember when that Babush Montserrat went over to BJP, was it Babush or was it daddy?
Yes.
I know Shefali went completely apeshit with the government. It was the same for me. I was looking at absolute trash who we know have probably killed people, going over to the BJP. So I don't know what happens. Will they criminalize the BJP if it comes to power, or will the BJP tone them down and teach them something about, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and things like that?
You mean gentrify or sanskarify?
Trust me, they can't get gentrified in this lifetime, maybe in the next lifetime. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam.
Answer this one because Alok is sort of very active, has a very active interaction with the BJP in that sense. So Alok, what do you think of this, mass inclusion drive that goes on, in Goa and now in West Bengal?
So I think before analyzing this Bengal, we do have a template in Tripura. Tripura is a successful template. I mean, Tripura is closest to Bengal in terms of the voter profile, the way it was governed, the parties which were there in the power. So 2018, I mean, I think there was a swing of 40% in favor of BJP. BJP, I believe, went up to 43 or 44%. And they won around 44, 45, 46 seats. So I don't have the exact number. So before Bengal, I think there is a successful template, there is a successful model which is there in Tripura. And that is what BJP replicated in Bengal. There was cadres who shifted their allegiance from left to BJP. And that's how they could defeat Manik Sarkar, who was a chief minister of 20 years. And, same thing is happening in Bengal, I believe. There is a lot of cadreship which is happening. And as far as, this thing is concerned, importing leaders from other parties, I believe one thing which is there now, which new BJP is all about, they know that in order to change this country, consolidation of power is a must. The way it will be governed, everything will be decided from the top. I mean, everything is going to be decided from Delhi. So it doesn't matter who they are importing, as long as party is winning, because it is all about winning, the consolidation of power. There is no point in doing 98 to 2004 kind of regime wherein you did everything. You went out of your India was governed in a way which we had not seen in for previous 40 or 50 years. and then we lost power in 2004. There is no, there is no fun in doing politics right away and then losing the power. It's better to do, you are in it for.
That's sort of the realpolitik answer.
It has to be like that. It has, once if you consolidate your hold on power, then you can always, you can always do the necessary, corrective. You can take necessary corrective actions and all. But then, for now, I believe in this country, what is more important is the consolidation of power. You need to consolidate your power, control on power, and ensure that you remain a winning machine.
Okay, now the next question, which speaks about winning machines.
But the other thing, Advaita, just wanted to ask both Abhijits about this Tripura thing. If this is a relevant observation, if this is something which is working in Bengal, or what do they? I mean, would they agree with this, that Tripura was a template, which is now, which was expanded in Bengal now? Or rather, for Bengal election, Tripura was the template.
I think Majumdar is taking this one.
No, I don't. I think Bengal is a lot more complex, Alok. Tripura, it was still straightforward. Tripura, the huge factor is the tribal factor, and there are other factors in Bengal. For instance, the entire tribal factor is restricted to 3 or 4 districts, which we call Jungle Mahal, where again BJP is extremely has become really powerful. In fact, in Purulia, I'm
told. How many
seats
are there? How many seats?
Jungle Mahal में कितना है? 40 होगा, I think.
अच्छा.
30-40 होगा. But Uttar Bongo, which is not Bengal, for instance, there are about 72-73 seats. And again, BJP has tremendous amount of, people
Not Bengal, yeah.
They swept North Bengal in 2019.
Yeah.
And now with Shubhendu, they have made serious I haven't seen that kind of ground presence of BJP in Bengal ever. In South, where the party was weak.
What is the RSS role in all of this? Because
RSS role, of course, RSS has been the software from the beginning, and more than RSS, Bengal, the entire pushback and the resistance to this level of violence and and also to Islamization came not from the BJP. The BJP used to be a picnic party in Bengal. People coming, going, some Subhash Chandra Bose's grandnephew coming, spewing inanities, going. There would be,
that is still going on.
And unelectable idiots have been part of the party. But when all this was going on, the people, the ground cadre in border states, for instance, the Bajrang Dal, Durga Vahini, VHP, these people, even 5-6 years ago in Nandigram itself, you would be, I used to have those videos, 3,000, 4,000 bikes, पट्टा बांध के भगवा वो करके जय श्री राम बोल के तभी से वो कर रहा है. Yeah, then there was a spate of riots. Yeah, spate of riots where Hindus, Hindus were being beaten up, killed, everything, their houses, and then Hindus also started keeping arms and retaliating. So this ground was actually made by the faceless thousands, many of whom have lost their lives, have been killed, brutally murdered. But if BJP ever comes to power in Bengal, BJP should not forget their sacrifices. So I asked, I was chatting with a RSS gentleman in Bengal about, this entire TMC guys and the starlets coming into the party like Nale Ka Pani. How will you deal with them? So he said, Dada, don't worry. We are Bengalis. We know how to eat fish. by putting the bones aside. So when time comes, we will see, and I don't think those elements will have any kind of sway in the party. And I agree with Alok ki when you look at it from the party point of view, BJP's strategy of being in power as just consolidating power around it, unless you do it, this we are up against a few centuries of brainwash.
Exactly.
We are up against a few centuries of brainwash. We don't if there has to be a turnaround, that party needs to be in power for much longer.
In fact, Abhijit, just wanted to add one more point to what you said. See, tell me where will you have a party like, BJP owes its success to leaders like, for example, Kailash Vijayvargiya. He was at the prime of his, career when he could have he could have taken a shot at chief ministership in Madhya Pradesh, but instead he chose to work in Bengal. For last 4 years, this guy is working in Bengal. Just look at that dedication. The other thing is there's one more person who I think BJP must not forget is is Tapan Ghosh. I mean, his work really paved.
I was about to say yes.
His work really
BJP,
paved the
yes.
way for for BJP. I mean, the work, because I remember meeting one of his associates who was there in the first meeting which he organized. I think he used to organize one rally on 14th of February in Calcutta, and he told me that first time when we organized that rally, it was attended by only 200 people. 200 or 300 people were there in the hall, and 2017 or 16, I think it was 2017 when I met him. So 2017 rally, he said it was attended by thousands of people in Bengal. People came from all the way from villages and all, and they were beaten up. Still, they came, and his work is really, it really helped BJP.
I think Rajiv Tuli has joined us. He's from the RSS. I think he heard the RSS question, which I asked, which was what role has the RSS played in Kolkata? And Abhijit Majumdar answered that. So I think Rajiv ji, would you like to take that question? I think I need to unmute you. Could you unmute yourself?
राजीव भाई साहब को बोलना, वो हमारे छोटे से स्टेट से 200-250 लोग गए हुए वहां पे।
आ गए
नहीं, सबका कंट्रीब्यूशन है, सब स्टेट से लोग गए, ऐसा नहीं है कि केवल उत्तराखंड से गए है छोटा स्टेट है तो
छोटे से स्टेट से गए हैं, तो आप बड़े बड़े स्टेट से क्या नंबर गया होगा?
नहीं, वो क्या है कि एक ऐसा मुझे ये लगता है कि प्रोबेबली देश के सब प्रांतों के लोगों को ऐसा लग रहा है कि एक वो बैटल ऑफ पलासी थी, सो दिस इज गोइंग टू बिकम अनदर बैटल ऑफ पलासी, तो आप लोगों ने शुरू किया था वो कल के चैट लीक से, क्लब हाउस और उस सारे से, तो पैरेलली एक डिस्कशन और हुआ था करण थापर एंड संजय बारू के, तो उसके बारे में भी आप सबने, खैर वो सब द बेसिक थिंग इज द प्रोबेबली इफ यू रिमेम्बर 24 या 25 मई 2014 का संडे गार्जियन का एडिटोरियल आप में से पता नहीं कुछ लोगों ने पढ़ा था या नहीं पढ़ा था. So the editorial started like, today finally the British left India. So this started with this. So that was the date when actually the results of the 2019 election, 2014 elections came out. So editorial started like this कि आज finally भारत से ब्रिटिशर्स ने छोड़ दिया, मगर अभी भी मुझे लगता है कि वो एडिटोरियल होने के बाद भी बहुत सारे लोग अभी भी उसी ब्रिटिश इंडिया वर्सेस भारत टाइप, ब्रिटिश कॉलोनियल भारत में जी रहे हैं. उनको ऐसा लगता है कि हमारे कंधों पर एक गोरे लोगों का भार है, और इसी कारण से दिस इज हाउ दीज टू डिस्कशंस हैव स्टार्टेड आल्सो प्रोबेबली. उनको बेचारों को अभी जो ग्राउंड कनेक्ट है वो शायद समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, बिकॉज दे आर नॉट देयर ऑन द ग्राउंड. दे हैव ऑपरेटेड, दे हैव वर्क, they have been into thick and thin of the things from their drawing rooms, AC drawing rooms. तो एक बड़ा कनेक्ट या डिस्कनेक्ट ये है कि they don't have their feet on the ground. I'll tell you some interesting data as to why Bengal is behaving like this. बंगाल आरएसएस के पर्सपेक्टिव से बंगाल को दो प्रांतों में बांटा हुआ है हमने. वी हैव टू स्टेट्स. वन इज नॉर्थ बंगाल और द अदर इज दक्षिण बंग. उत्तर बंग और दक्षिण बंग दोनों में अलग अलग पूरी संघ की रचना है, संरचना है. तो इंटरेस्टिंगली 2012 में हमने संघ की वेबसाइट पे एक ज्वाइन आरएसएस का पेज चालू किया था. तो 2013 आते आते 2014 आते आते बहुत सारे लोगों को लगता है कि सितंबर 2013 में जब मोदी जी को बीजेपी ने कैंपेन कमेटी का चेयरमैन डिसाइड किया और अनाउंस किया, उसके बाद से बीजेपी का अपसर्ज चालू हुआ. मगर आई कैन सपोर्ट इट विद डेटा. 2012 में जब हमने वो पेज शुरू किया ज्वाइन आरएसएस का, सो विद इन नेक्स्ट 3 to 6 months, starting 2013, the numbers which were actually 30 to 40 applications per day in the month of July 2012 got risen to about 1,000 applications per day by the March 2013. और मार्च 2013 से लेकर के, और अगर दिसंबर 2013 तक का डेटा अगर आप एनालाइज करोगे उसमें, सो वेस्ट बंगाल स्टार्टेड कंट्रीब्यूटिंग अबाउट, इट वाज सेकंड हाईएस्ट और थर्ड हाईएस्ट इन द लिस्ट. दिल्ली एनसीआर के बाद में शायद द नंबर ऑफ पीपल वांटिंग टू ज्वाइन संघ was about third highest by the end of the 2013. So this is the kind of traction. I used to speak to the organizing secretary of both these states. Vidyut Da is Jishnu Da was then the Prachar Pramukh or the media head of Dakshin Bang, and Vidyut Da was still is the organizing secretary for Dakshin Bang. मेरी उनसे बात होती थी, मैं कहा साहब इतना आपके पास डेटा आ रहा है तो व्हाट इज द रीजन, क्यों आ रहा है इतना डेटा आपके यहाँ पे? आपके यहाँ पर तो शाखा की विजिबिलिटी भी कम है और थोड़ा सा बाकी ग्राउंड पे नेटवर्क भी थोड़ा. तो टू द एक्सटेंट दैट प्रोबेबली 2 or 3 months वर व्हेन वी गॉट अबाउट 10,000 पीपल ज्वाइनिंग फ्रॉम वेस्ट बंगाल, 10,000 ज्वाइनिंग रिक्वेस्ट. एंड दैट वाज जब एनालाइज किया उस डेटा को, 18 से लेकर के 35-40 साल तक का डेटा था. और जब उन सब लोगों का प्रोफाइलिंग किया तो मोस्ट ऑफ देम वाज फ्रॉम द रूरल बंगाल. तो जब मेरी बात होती थी उनसे तो वो बताते थे कि द काइंड ऑफ अपीजमेंट दैट इज हैपनिंग ऑन द ग्राउंड बाय टीएमसी एंड द एलाइड. So this is something which is a reaction to what is being done by the. So that was an indication. मतलब मुझे लगता है कि एक वो हमारे यहाँ एक संघ परिचय वर्ग रहता है जिसमें we invite these people who are coming to join संघ, who want to join संघ. उनको हम लोग इनवाइट करते हैं, उनको संघ के बारे में कुछ बेसिक्स बताते हैं, and then we start the process of getting a शाखा started there. और उसके बाद जब वो शाखा चालू होती है तो उसमें से कुछ लोग जो हैं they come and join us for 7 days camp, and from there they start becoming the कार्यकर्ताज और थोड़ा थोड़ा दायित्व दे करके उनको काम पे. तो जब वो बाकी सब स्टेट्स में ये जो ज्वाइन आरएसएस की रिक्वेस्ट आती है उसमें से जो एक्चुअल फील्ड पे आने वाले लोग हैं वो या इन संघ परिचय वर्गों में आने वाले लोग हैं वो 25-30% है. वेस्ट बंगाल में तब भी इट वाज मोर देन 70% पीपल कमिंग ऑन द कॉल ऑफ द आरएसएस टू आवर अ स्मॉल विलेज और अ पार्क और स्मॉल कार्यालय, किसी के घर की छत पे, किसी मंदिर में. मोर देन 70% पीपल कमिंग टू अटेंड the basic first day interaction or the ice breaking session, संघ परिचय वर्ग जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं, वो उसमें आते थे. This was the percentage.
एक सवाल है, भूपेन चौधरी एडिटर is watching as well and he wants to ask you कि ये जो back to the clubhouse, non-understanding of Modi, this dislike for Modi that the media has, a section of the media, why do you think it still persists to the extent where there is actual surprise and a total lack of understanding? Or is it also a fact that the BJP and the larger Sangh Parivar itself does not have that much of an interaction with the media and is dismissive of the media?
Oh, Bhupendra is asking this.
Bhupendra Chaudhary is asking this on the chat.
I strange, yaar, Bhupendra, how can you ask this question? Yaar, I don't expect this from you at least. I mean, if somebody like Ravish Kumar, who, and no, on a serious note, the people who are here on the media, on this group also, those who are, who knows Sangh a bit, we have an open door policy. The people who have, there are few of the people who are doing, no, I can quote the name, but I will not do that. There are few of the journalists who are there in West Bengal for so many years, for so many months now, covering this election, 3, 4, 5 months. So, if I know few of them who are, who have been very well inclined, very well entrenched with the left ecosystem, and they are real good. I mean, I don't know why the people who were there on that clubhouse meeting, they have this feeling, and why Bhupendra have this feeling when he is, he is the one who regularly interacts with the most of the people on Sangh, people in Sangh, those who deal with the Sangh now, Dattaji or Manmohanji or Arun Kumarji, Sunil Ambekarji, Narendra, they are all available, and most of the people, and we are so much so open that we invited all these people who are there on that clubhouse also in our lecture series that happened in Delhi from 17th, 18th September. Yeah, 3-day lecture series. I can quote the names if you want, but that is not appropriate. This is not the appropriate forum to quote the names who all invited and who all gate crashed uninvited also. I can give you the names of those people also. Two of the very senior most journalists of this cabal, what do you call it, Khan Market cabal or any, whatever the nomenclature is. Most of the two senior most journalists came walking into that program. I apologize that I forgot to invite you because I was media in charge then for Delhi, and I didn't have chair to offer them, and just sat on the ground and listened to the Mohanji's bhashan that day. So I don't think we have a very open door kind of policy. They have closed their doors. They need to open it up, come up, speak with us, or we are already doing that. But the only thing is that we are not under that aura where they think that वो इंडिया है और हम भारत हैं. हम उस ऑरा में नहीं आते हैं उनके, केवल इतना सब उनका प्रॉब्लम है. बाकी तो Bhupen also knows we have a very open door kind of policy. We invite people. Rather जो लोग हमारे से बहुत सालों से aligned या affiliated या थोड़ा हमारे साथ थोड़ा सिंपैथी रखते हैं, उनको एक ये बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है कि यार आप उन सब लोगों को भी उतना ही तवज्जो देते हो. हमें तो उनके टाइम में बिल्कुल 0 तवज्जो मिलता था, आप उनको अभी उतना ही तवज्जो दे रहे हो जी जितना आप हमें दे रहे हो. तो हमारे लिए तो वो बैलेंस स्ट्राइक करना इज अ बिग प्रॉब्लम. So all said and done, I mean, our doors are open. We keep on interacting with them, whosoever approaches. So much so, I was discussing with you in the morning also at Beta, the one Dattaji incident also, wherein somebody approached, he gave time, she came, sat for 1.5 to 2 hours. Sunil Ambekarji giving interview to Madhu Trehan and Barkha Dutt. So we where there is फ्रॉम आवर साइड देयर वी हैव नेवर बीन, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ पर एक बेसिक सिंपल प्रपोजिशन है, भारत में दो तरह के लोग रहते हैं, एक जो आज स्वयंसेवक बन गए हैं, आज हमारे पास आ गए हैं, दूसरे जिनको भविष्य में आना है, इसलिए हमारी किसी से किसी प्रकार की कोई दुश्मनी नहीं, तो उनको हमारे पास आना ही है, हमें पता है, उनको भी पता है, उनको अल्टीमेटली यही आना है, इसलिए हम उनके लिए मन में क्यों दुश्मनी पालें, उनको अपना कोर्स करेक्शन कर।
ये मजू
राजीव भाई साहब, मैं तो ना सोच रहा हूँ राजीव सरदेसाई को आपकी संघ से संघ की ड्रेस में।
अरे यार वो जमीन पे बैठा बेचारा, बहुत दुख हुआ मुझे उस दिन कार्यक्रम,
3 दिन वाला सेशन।
ये
क्यों राजीव जी, राजीव सरदेसाई जमीन पे नहीं बैठ सकता?
आई वांट टू आस्क यू,
नहीं वो अब आपको और मेरे को तो लगता है वो बैठ सकता है, उसको नहीं लगता, उसको तो लगता है
नहीं मोदी जी ने तो बस के गेट पे खड़ा किया था, ये भी
गेट पे खड़ा करके।
Can I just point out very quickly that, you know, the kind of one of the reasons even today the BJP hasn't been able to execute a narrative capture, and why I think even if they win Bengal, it is going to be highly problematic for them to control, is because they don't understand what a narrative capture is, and they're too democratic to do a narrative capture. They don't get rid of the elites. They don't replace the elites. They don't see people as enemies, even though the other person sees you as an enemy. So, you know, we can keep talking about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and all of that, but I can assure you that when, what was that fellow, Mahmood Ghazni, came to the north, he certainly didn't believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and he certainly didn't believe that, you know, you would hug and kiss and make up someday. Qutbuddin Aibak didn't believe it, Iltutmish didn't believe it, and they certainly didn't believe it right down to Aurangzeb. So, you know, we can have all these wonderful huggy-duggy, panda bear hugs and things like that, but the fundamental failing of the BJP in the center, which is going to be far more accentuated in Bengal, given its sort of self-delusion of being an intellectual capital, is going to get rid of this sort of rentier elites of washed out actors and washed out poets and washed out journalists running a piece of trash called the Telegraph, and etc., etc. And almost instantly, what you're going to see if the BJP forms a government is that the BJP in Bengal is the most fascistic of all the BJP governments. And from there on, it's just down. I mean, you can keep winning the elections, but you're going to keep losing the narrative. So best of luck with that.
Shefali was smiling. Shefali, you want to say something to?
No, I agree with what Abhijit says to a large extent, that all this, everybody is a Sangh Swayamsevak till he actually comes to Sangh. I think it's being a little too ambitious. There are times when you realize that no matter how nice you are to the other person is never going to be that nice or that accepting of you. And if I may bring back this discussion to the talk between Karan Thapar and Sanjay Baru, the amount of disdain that was, dripping in that interview towards people who are non-English speaking, dhoti wearing, whatever you name it, and that poisonous smirk when Karan Thapar said, "Oh, these are graduates from Indian universities." I could actually see the venom. I just had a Russell's Viper in my garden, okay, when I was talking to you.
I was going to make that point.
Even the Russell's Viper didn't spit it out with so much of venom as Karan Thapar did those 2 words. And I mean, these are the elite. These were the elite for 70 years. And sadly, they still are the elite because they still control the institutions. Until you get the institutions back, it's not going to happen. And because they have institutions under their control, one Pratap Bhanu Mehta resigning becomes a national issue. I mean, who is he? Who cares? But there's a narrative that's been created.
Exactly, Shefali, who cares?
इसमें शिफाली एक चीज मेरे को, there is a friend of mine, he's a principal, and he always repeats this thing. He says कि मोदी जी की जो जीत है 2014 की जीत, बोलते हैं वो अंग्रेजियत के ऊपर जीत है. आप ये बोलते हैं अंग्रेजी बोलो से, वो ऐसे ही बोलते हैं अंग्रेजी बोलने से, अंग्रेजी आप बोलिए उसमें कोई परेशानी नहीं है, लेकिन जो अंग्रेजियत है ना, जो बारू और उसके डिस्कशन में नजर आ रही थी वो अंग्रेजियत थी, और ये जितना ही करेंगे उतना अच्छा रहेगा. आई थिंक I would love them to continue all doing this till 2024-25, because 24 में अगर हम ये लोग तब तक कंटिन्यू करते हैं, इनको नहीं किसी सुधरना चाहिए. 2024 तक ऐसे ही करते रहे. 2024 में जब ये हार जाएंगे तो 15 साल की जब
I think
so the issue here is,
Abhijit, let me just come in here. One of the telling statements that were made was that when Vajpayee came to power, it was a revolving door. One set of friends went in, and another set of friends came out, and I thought that was very revealing, because that sort of Iyer, I know you're very familiar with Lutyens Delhi, so I want you to talk about this observation that was made.
see, herein lies the point. You look at any long-lasting conquest, be it 1066 and the Norman invasions of England, or be it the 1192 Turkic invasions of India. You set down long-lasting roots only when you execute a complete wipeout of the elites. Okay, they may be useless, they may be corrupt, that doesn't matter. I mean, if the elites lost in 1066, clearly they were corrupt and incompetent, right? If the elites lost in 1192, clearly they were corrupt and incompetent, or they couldn't mount a proper defense. That doesn't matter. See, because what happens then is, they may be out of power for 10, 15 years, but then they come back with such a vengeance that there'll be nothing of you left. Right, I'm not talking about 10, and the problem that I've noticed very frequently in the BJP is they tend to think very tactically from election to election. There was a time when they were thinking strategically, otherwise nobody would have stayed in the opposition for 70 long years to finally form the government, building up a movement. But I've also noticed that that thinking, or that strategic thinking, has long since left the BJP. It depends entirely on an anger created by all these, contrived Hindu atrocity literature of the left. I've literally had people tell me, यार हम अगर NDTV को निकाल देंगे तो हमारे लोग किस पे थूकेंगे? Okay, अगर हम etc. etc. And you don't realize that at some point the accumulation of Russell's vipers in Shefali's garden becomes so much that they will come and bite you one way or another. Okay. And you have to be very careful, because see, there are different kinds of animals to deal with. If you give a dog milk, it will not bite you after that. You can keep feeding a snake an egg for the next 100 days, it will still come and bite you if you make one wrong move. So understand what we're facing up against. I despair. I despair. Of course, they'll never take me seriously, because the question is, aapne kabhi election jeeta hai? Nahi, obviously not. I could even win the head boy elections in my thing, and I had to settle for cultural secretary, and that too I had to do all kinds of hera-fairy to get that and run some disinformation.
Iyer, we went to the same school, and I was cultural secretary as well. So I think you followed after me. I think maybe 2 or 3 years.
I think so, yeah.
But I was cultural secretary as well. Majumdar, there is a question for you from another Abhijit who's in the audience. And we've got lots of Abhijits today. Is Majumdar here? There, but I don't know where he's not.
Advaita, Abhijit also went to Vellams, is it?
No.
No. But Majumdar, the question from the Abhijit, they are saying that TMC doesn't have cadre. Then how have they stayed in power for 10 years?
No. I didn't. I never said TMC doesn't have cadre. Of course they have cadre, but they don't have a cadre as disciplined as left had in the 34 years they ruled with an iron fist. The TMC also doesn't have the kind of ideological. What is TMC's ideology? Mamata Banerjee, that's all. And I mean, it came together to defeat the left, and then it held together to, because a part of society or a part of their cadre benefited from the contracts, and which is why the entire thing of cut money and syndicates have become such a big issue now, Advaita. And ultimately, one of the things that would hurt TMC this elections is when a tragedy of Amphan proportions hits a state,
Right.
and then in relief you see that there is the same dishonesty, same loot happening, same nepotism happening in relief work. Then you kind of this kind of law and order collapse makes governments lose more than good developmental work makes them win.
Right.
So law and order usually is something that makes Lalu fell because of terrible law and order. Mulayam Akhilesh fell because of very bad law and order.
Yeah.
So that is.
Good. We've been going on for more than an hour now, and we've had like a record number of people watching. So that's really wonderful. Thanks to you all. I want to put this question out there because we've not spoken about the Congress so far, and we've gone a whole hour into this conversation about an election in West Bengal and all the chatter around it. There is really no chatter about the Congress. And interestingly, and we'll start with Shefali here, the siblings have not set foot in Bengal as yet and are waiting now to go in now. So what's happening with that? And I read some articles, of course, which say that, it's very significant that they have not stepped foot in West Bengal. But it kind of seems like they know that there's really not much they can do there.
Yeah, they can see the writing on the wall clearly. They know that they can't even have a respectable showing. Forget about winning or coming close to power, but they probably will not have even the basic number of seats, and they know that. So and the siblings obviously will go in only where they will say that, oh, we made this difference or we made this change happen. So they know that this is not going to happen in Bengal anyway. So it's kind of pointless. So yes, Rahul will go and do one odd rally there now. So the BJP should be really happy about that. But they would rather focus in Kerala, where they do think that they have some chance, or in Tamil Nadu, but not in Bengal. Congress is pardon me?
Kerala is also looking a little dicey for them, actually.
Yes, but they think that in Kerala they have at least a fighting chance. Then in Bengal they know that even they don't take themselves seriously. So none of their leaders, even their leaders, are basically saying, like Abhishek Manu Singhvi, are telling people to vote for a TMC. I mean, what is left? Congress? I don't even know why are they even fighting in West Bengal actually.
I know, even Mr. Chidambaram said something very strange, which almost sounded like he was presaging the results.
It was an exit poll.
Yeah, I cannot believe that West Bengal
a land of Subhash Chandra Bose and whatever.
Rabindranath Tagore and all.
I think a lot of the BJP cadre in Bengal, like across the country, actually want Rahul Gandhi to come and campaign. They seem to think he's the BJP's lucky charm. They're like, sir, agar dada Rahul Gandhi se jabe to nishchoy jitbo amra. So at some point, the Congress really has to introspect and think what kind of a clown they have running things. That the opposition is desperate to get you. They were so excited when the Amit Shah rally and the Modi rally were meant to happen. They seem just as excited about Rahul Gandhi coming. And that should tell you a lot. He's like the third star campaigner of the BJP after Amit Shah and Modi, probably even ahead of both sometimes. I get the feeling. He ends up sending more votes to the BJP than anybody else that I know.
Bengal is a state where Congress has been in power for 20 years and Congress has been the main opposition party for over 60 years. 60 years. So from, and now Congress is just there nowhere except Adhit Chaudhary, who's a really good mass leader. There is just no Congress. If Adhit Chaudhary leaves Congress would have given up a massive state with 42 Lok Sabha seats, just like that.
Ajit Chaudhary's margin also got reduced to just 5,000 in last election.
Exactly.
Which used to be huge. I mean, it used to be in lakh, and it has been reduced to 5,000 in last election.
Correct. Absolutely.
He is the only saving grace.
So this is how Congress gives up state after state. Where they have ruled, where they have been the main opposition. This is how it happens. It's not even a player. It's good that Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi are not coming. Where will they jump? They'll have to go to Digha or Mandarvani to jump those skinny dips.
So one interesting point that came up from what Alok said was that, very correctly he pointed out that all these thugs who joined the BJP, they will be power neutralized if the BJP forms a government. They may be given posts and things, but they won't really have agency and so on and so forth. Now, what worries me, and this Bhadralok stereotype of Bengalis, we really need to get over that, because some Bengalis may be Bhadralok, but for Bengal for the last 50, 60 years has been an extraordinarily violent state. Right?
The most violent state.
The most violent state. Exactly. So what happens now when you have the semblance of good governance coming up with BJP is that you have all the previous criminals, and Bengal abounds in criminals, who had a stake in the status quo, and you're fundamentally changing the status quo. What kind of social churn they bring about, number one. And number two, because you fundamentally have a na khaunga na khane dunga policy implemented out there, even the ones who are in power but not able to take advantage of the power, because remember, all the people in power so far in Bengal have essentially been presiding over a thug army and been able to gain monetary and other benefits from it. They are not able to. I worry what the consequences of that are going to be.
Yes.
No, Alok can give an insight into this, because prior to Uttarakhand BJP forming the government there, a lot of people from other parties jumped onto BJP and they were made the part of the government. One, two, Tripura is another case in example, and of course UP also. UP also, you got 325 seats, and that was not without the people from the other ideologies or the political parties or the different, altogether different thought processes.
So, sir, I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that.
What you said, yes, they were all probably, again, if I say this here, and this is on a public platform, so it can go. So
we don't want a repeat of the Bright Wing on Clubhouse.
Yeah. So Alok can give an insight how Uttarakhand have dealt with them. Simple.
No, इसमें राजीव भाई साहब, मैं जस्ट मेरे को कमेंट पे को याद है, किसी ने बोला था, बहुत सीनियर लीडर ने बोला था, उन्होंने बोला था भाजपा का भ्रष्ट भाजपा में नहीं चलेगा, बाहर का भ्रष्ट आके बीजेपी में जब आ जाता है तो हम उसको ठीक कर लेंगे. लेकिन
Uttarakhand is still a tame state. I think Majumdar, I shouldn't say Abhijit, Majumdar will confirm this to all of you, that the level of societal violence, the level of societal brutality, the kind of criminalization of politics and the brutalization of politics in Bengal is something to behold.
Yes, it is. It has been ISIS level. Can you imagine?
Right.
It has been ISIS level in some. They say no. I mean, killing two sons in front of the mother and making her eat the rice with their blood.
Yes,
exactly.
That level of violence.
That happened in Bengal.
No, but
I've always felt safer walking around in criminal areas in Lucknow and things like that than I have in Bengal. And I'm a Bengali, well, at least a half Bengali.
I get it. I lived in Kolkata, and at a time when Mamta was rising, and part of my film Kahani also, the underlying part of the inspiration was this kind of underlying violence that is covered up with the Bhodro kind of persona. And that was a thread that, went through the story, which I felt, I observed very carefully, very closely, because where I was working was like a total unionized place, and we had lots of trade union and lots of fist fights between TMC and CPM. And honestly, to be very honest, at that point of time, I had admiration for Mamta as a woman.
Yeah, all of us did.
Going out on the streets and really fighting the fight, because I've been to Kannur, I observe political violence, I know how scary it can be. And I think she was very brave.
If you
I don't
look
know
at
how
the
they-
Kamduni gang rape, Kamduni gang rape, there were, I think, this was a girl going to college. They just picked her up, college or school. I think she was 15 or 16. They gang raped her in a eat ka factory kind of thing, and then they threw her body, bhatta, and then they cut her after gang raping her. They cut her like this from down to this thing. They just split her body up to the neck, and they
So in
threw
fact,
her into the thing. And the two main accused were were not getting arrested because it would sort of it would not be the secular thing to do, and for long they were absconding.
in
So
fact,
this
both
kind
the
of violence, see, the one thing I'll just tell Iyer, if whoever, BJP or whoever comes to power, at some point of time in Bengal, see, the people, the gundas who were in, the killers who were in the left had come to TMC. Those killers may tomorrow come to BJP, who would try to at least seek refuge under BJP or whoever forms the government. At some point of time, one government ruthlessly, without any this thing to so-called human rights groups in agenda of the human rights groups, would have to ruthlessly neutralize for 2 years. Chun chun ke list banao, neutralize karo criminals ko.
you need a yogi. Then you need a yogi.
Yeah,
so
you need Rajdand
Rajdand ka bhai, bilkul,
नहीं, उसमें
राजीव जी,
अभिजीत एक चीज
जेल में डालिए, जो भी करना है न्यूट्रलाइज करिए, एकदम स्प्रिंग क्लीनिंग चाहिए बंगाल में, कि कहीं घुस नहीं पाए.
Exactly.
And have a chat with Sheikh Hasina is a friendly government. In fact, the criminals and terrorists who were fleeing Bangladesh, Bengal has given refuge. Every single terrorist of Holy Bakery, Holy Artisan Bakery, this thing had entered Bengal. Either they were picked up from this thing, I think a couple of them from Park Circus in the heart of Calcutta. So हम लोग दामाद जैसे, the rejects of Bangladesh have found refuge in Kolkata.
Actually, my friend,
and Bengal, larger Bengal.
Let's do a conversation on this as well. I mean, my friend is an editor of the Dhaka Tribune in Dhaka, a very close friend of mine. And he just wrote to me and said, can you write a column? Because in Bangladesh, we are watching the Bengal elections very keenly. And we want to see what the result is going to be. So I think there is something that needs to be worked out between the two governments. But I think it's been such an entertaining conversation. It was only supposed to be 45 minutes. We've gone on for an hour and a half, and we haven't lost that many viewers. We've lost maybe about 30 viewers in the course of that time, so which is amazing. I want to thank you all for being here, and I know I'm not one for predictions, but if you had to make a prediction, what does May 2nd look like for West Bengal? Is Didi roaring back to power, or will we see a new government?
No, मैं बोलूं, मेरे को एक चीज बोली थी बस. See, I think, you know what, मेरे को लगता है जो भी हो, लेकिन 2nd January, अगर 2nd May को if we are winning, then I think BJP should take a, they should take out a procession, just like Clive took out one after, he won Plassey. I think we need to undo Plassey, and this is almost 264 years, So उसको उनको एक करना चाहिए because बीजेपी को एक प्रोसेशन जिस तरह से वो क्लाइव पूरी कलकत्ता की स्ट्रीट से जीतने के बाद घूमा था, उस तरह से बीजेपी को घूमना चाहिए अगर सेकंड में को हम जीतते हैं तो.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any last comments? Shefali?
I can sense
I don't
UP
want
in
to
West
jinx
Bengal.
it, so I'm just keeping my fingers crossed.
Okay.
I can sense UP in West Bengal.
You can sense UP in West Bengal. Okay. Okay. Abhijit, Iyer, I mean.
I'm going to be very, very cautious.
Uh-huh.
To be fair, my reference circle is mostly Bhadralok and things like that, which, might be tilting my perspective a bit. But I think it's going to be a damn close call.
Okay. And that's something that we couldn't have said even like 2 years ago. So that's pretty
exactly, which is still huge. It's huge.
Which is huge.
No, Abhijit, but यहाँ पे I would like to add what Prashant Kishore said. He said it won't be a close election. Either way, it will be 200 plus or इस तरह वाला election होगा. This is what he said. I believe he is on record.
Here, I think he is overhyped a person, Prashant.
No.
We should not be.
No.
I was making the same point, sir. He gets more elections wrong than he gets right.
Yes. मैं आलोक जी केवल एक बात देखो, यूपी में लोगों को एक बात समझ में आ गई है, बेटी बचा लेंगे तो रोटी कमा लेंगे. Same as happened with West Bengal people also. They have started realizing कि बेटी बचाना ज्यादा जरूरी है, बेटी बचा लेंगे तो रोटी कमा लेंगे. If that has happened there, जो वो अपनी बात में भी कह रहा है, कंसोलिडेशन और पोलराइजेशन की बात, अगर वो हो गया है, so there is nothing stopping BJP from getting close to 200
plus. 200, yeah.
And
no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. कि हम जीत 200 plus.
Someone from Swapan Das Gupta, they're saying has a very good shot at winning actually. So.
Shapanda has a very good chance of winning.
Yeah.
Abhijit Majumdar ने नहीं बोला अभी. Go ahead, Abhijit.
I was trying to avoid this, but I think if TMC wins, it'll be a very, very close one. But if BJP wins, it'll be a
big win,
fairly clear.
But Majumdar, you must have covered even that switch from CPM communists to Mamta. There must have been something in the air. Are you sensing a similar sentiment on the ground or not really?
Yes, yes, certainly. I mean, that was a election. Mamata came with incredible mandate.
Yes.
But this is an election. This is for the first time. I mean, almost extremely violent in an extremely violent polity. When people start speaking out, then you can sense the the mood of the election, the emotion of the election. And Rajiv Tuli ji had once told me that there are two things which don't run on fundamentals in India. One is the stock market and the other is elections. It runs on emotion. So it's important.
My ultimate question, because it's just been sent to me, who's very, very kindly assists me on all of this YouTube stuff and knowing that I'm not tech savvy. He sent me an article and he says, please ask this. With the is a split in the Congress imminent? I mean, they say that the G23 is waiting for May 2nd and result day. And subsequently, the future of the Congress and the G23, what they want to do is going to happen. So everyone is shaking their head and saying no to that.
No, only one thing to add here, Adwaita. Congress will only revive when RSS will start giving its cadre to Congress. Otherwise, there is no chance of Congress getting revived.
Is that going to happen? Is the answer?
अगर वो हमारे से संगठन मंत्री लेना शुरू करेंगे, हमारे पास आएंगे, बात करेंगे, संगठन मंत्री लेना शुरू करेंगे, तभी उनका कांग्रेस का रिवाइवल होगा. नहीं तो आप कांग्रेस का रिवाइवल इस देश में हो नहीं पाएगा.
आपके संगठन मंत्री को बिगाड़ देंगे वो.
संगठन मंत्री ने बड़े-बड़े सुधार दिए यार.
By the way, the RSS is very clear in private that the BJP is separate from the RSS. Huh? So you can always go ask for help to the RSS. And it tells you a lot about the BJP, about Rahul Gandhi, that he has the biggest volunteer organization on the world, and he keeps foul-mouthing them and spitting on them instead of, going seeking their help and trying to cooperate with them. I mean, what kind of inclusivity does this clown want if your idea of inclusivity is foul-mouthing the biggest volunteer organization in the world?
By the way, Mamata came to power with, there was active RSS support in Nandigram.
Yes.
That's and that is what anyway, every member of his family, of the dynasty, has had an interaction with the Sangh. I don't know why he feels so determined to be the high priest of his own ideology.
No, Advaita, reason for that is he doesn't have brain, point number one. Point number two is the people around him are all leftist, not even leftists. They are Naxalites and Maoists from JNU who are, practically, earlier they were running Sonia Gandhi, then they switched to Rahul, and now probably few of them are along with the GG also. So that is why they probably this is the last thing to happen for a camaraderie between Sangh and the left. Sangh is, yes, when probably in the जब हमें कभी लगेगा कि देश के लिए आज शायद इनके contribution की कहीं कुछ जरूरत है, तो शायद हम उनको साथ में ले लेंगे, but they will never take us along. Why? We know that there are the few left people, and from the Kerala perspective also, कि वहां पर भी संघ में जो बड़ा कैडर जो वायलेंस जो संघ के नाम पर करता है, वो वही है जो वहां से लेफ्ट से आया हुआ, तो लेफ्ट को मारने के लिए लेफ्ट का कैडर ही वहां चलता बढ़ता है. So, but till the time they remain in their decision making, probably Congress is not going to get revival.
अच्छा अद्वैता, एक क्वेश्चन मेरे को ना मजूमदार उनसे पूछना है. मैंने अभिजीत कहीं पे पढ़ा था कि ये ममता जो 1976 की बात है, पता नहीं कहाँ की है, कि ये बुद्धदेव की कार पे या ज्योति बसु की कार पे डांस करके आई थी. Is that true?
Yeah.
Dance नहीं की थी. She was out on the bonnet में, she jumped and all that, and also there was major drama. I think why she tried to, but they actually tried to kill her. The left cadre.
But ये 76 की बात है क्या? 76 में हुआ था क्या सर?
नहीं, ये 80s में है.
80s में.
Actually early 90s, no, not even 80s.
No, 90s में
very early 90s.
90s में they tried to kill her.
When she was
90s में,
जब कांग्रेस में थी.
वैसे राजीव भाई साहब, वो कार मंगवा लो आप, उसी गाड़ी पे डांस करते हुए भिजवाना वापस इसको.
उसके बाद अब बहुत सारी कारें हैं उसके बाद, आप बहुत कुछ कर सकती है.
Well, thank you so much. Interestingly, our viewer count went up again. I don't know why, but it's been a fantastic show, and I hope all of you will come back again at some point. I'd love to do this more often because I think there's such a need for just having a freewheeling conversation where everyone gets to talk. So thank you so much. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Advaita. This was really nice. Thanks so much.